you. Well, again, I really wish I was really, truly with you today, but this is a close second anyway. So thanks so much. Really excited to introduce KIN to your customers today. Anyone who's not tried it before. We're in the Ottawa Valley, so near Ottawa, obviously. And I put together a little presentation for you just to give you a little bit of an idea of what the vineyard's about, and then I'll talk a bit about the wines that you have brought in for everyone to try. All right, now if technology works for me, I'm going to share a presentation.
You're like a professional presenter. We don't usually get this fancy.
Well, you tell me if it worked anyways. Do you see my screen?
Yes, you can see your screen.
All right, great. Well, let me just see if I can move forward then. Oops. No, it doesn't want to do that. Why can I not move forward? One moment, please. Okay, come on. There we go.
All right. Video, I'm going to edit it later anyway, so.
Oh, good. I love a good editor.
Yes.
So let me tell you a bit about KIN Vineyards. So it was founded in 2014, and the vineyards are on a beautiful property outside of Ottawa in Carp, just outside of Carp actually, in the Ottawa Valley. So 47 acres, 10 of which are under vine. And we really do specialize. Our flagship wines are our Pinot Noir and Chardonnay made with estate grapes. We also, to have a more full portfolio, we do source some other varieties from some trusted growers in the Niagara region. So that's how we are able to also offer some wines made from Gamete, Vidal, and Marquette. Although we are starting to plant Gamete, so we will eventually just provide that as one of our estate grapes. KIN is not certified organic, but we do everything we can to follow organic practices, organic and even biodynamic. We also dry farm, so it's not irrigated. So we do our best to be good stewards to our land and also just to make a really premium product for our customers. So we are the most northerly Chardonnay and Pinot Noir vineyard in Ontario. And a lot of people think, wow, you're growing grapes in Ottawa. But actually, we're at the same latitude as Chablis in France. The only difference is we have beautiful long summers, but what we have that they don't have is a really cold winter. So like the growers in Prince Edward County, we actually drop all the vines at the end of harvest. We bury the vines under earth, and that way they stay nice and warm all through the winter. And every spring we pull them out of the earth and put them back on the trellises. So that's how we're able to have a beautiful Pinot Noir and Chardonnay growing. The property is absolutely gorgeous. It's on a fantastic elevation on what's called the Carp Ridge, flowing down to the Carp River. So southwestern exposure, so lots of sunlight, which grapes love, but also because of the coolness that comes up from the valley, from the river, it cools the grapes as well, which actually is a good thing for grape growing. What you want is to keep that fresh elegance and some of the higher acidity, and you get that with this kind of land. So it really is a fantastic location to grow beautiful wines. So another thing to note is we're pretty proud of our winemaker. He is a very well-renowned winemaker with experience not only in the Niagara area, but also Sonoma, California, New Zealand as well. So he really makes a big difference ensuring that all the wines we make are incredibly high quality. And we're starting to get noticed. So these are some of the points from some very well-known Ontario wine critics regarding our flagship Carp Ridge Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. So you're seeing that they really are recognizing the quality of those wines. As well, Wine Country Ontario in their travel guide last year, as well as this year, have featured KIN and called it an emerging region. So at some point, we'll actually have our own BQA region. Right now, it's BQA Ontario, but they have added us as sort of one of the next coming regions that will be given VQA status. So that is very exciting for us. So that's probably enough information about our beautiful vineyard. What you probably want to know about is some wine and having wine with food, so which is what tonight's all about. So yeah, let's talk some wine. You have actually got an opportunity to try 6 different wines. I don't know how many you're going to get in one night, but I'll try and give you some ideas of things that might interest you. So the first thing I'm going to start with is this. So this is our sparkling. It's called Kindling, and it's actually our #1 most popular wine at the vineyard. The reason being, it's always good to have a bubbly in the house. This one is reasonably priced. It's beautifully made like a Prosecco. So light and enjoyable with some lovely fresh effervescence. You're going to get some lemon rind, a bit of melon, maybe a bit of pear. So some beautiful flavors. And it's just a really easy to enjoy bubbly. So if you like Prosecco, I really do recommend you give this one a try. And that's made with 100% Vidal grapes. So Vidal grapes are one of a number that were made specifically as hybrids for northern climates. So they grow extremely well in Canada. And it's a very versatile grape as well. We've also got a still Vidal that we make. Next up, I think I'd like to tell you about our Pinot Noir Rosé. So it is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful pink. And that is because the Pinot Noir grapes, so they're a red wine grape, normally makes a red wine, Pinot Noir. But when we press the juice, we don't let it sit on the skins, because the skins are where that color is. Inside, they're actually that greeny white color, but on the outside, they are red. So you leave it on for just a short period of time in contact with the skin. You get the skins out of the way so that you can keep this beautiful bright color. But the skins give more than just color. They actually add some lovely flavor. So you're going to get a bit of a cranberry flavor, a bit of cherry cranberry, which makes this just absolutely delicious. It's a dry rosé, very elegant, all done in stainless steel, so it's super fresh. And this is probably our 2nd most popular wine. So we had to actually make more this year because we last year we ran out, I think, before the end of August. So we really did our best to make more to meet the demand this year. The 3rd wine. This one, I think you might have had once before at Wander. So this is the Civil Grit Unoaked Chardonnay. And it's just lovely. It's your little black dress of wines, kind of does everything, goes anywhere. So it's an unoaked Chardonnay. And what can I tell you about it? One of the things we do when the wine's being made is as the yeast that helps make the wine kind of dies off and floats to the surface, one thing a winemaker can do is actually stir those yeast in. They call it batonnage. But what that does is actually bring more flavor back into the wine, but even more importantly, body. So this won't be a really thin white wine. It will have some body, still fresh and crisp and dry, but just a little bit more mouthfeel, a creamy mouthfeel, which makes it stand up to all sorts of food. It's a really great partner for just a myriad of foods. It kind of goes with everything. So this is actually a very faved wine at the winery, at least for me. Okay, so let's talk about reds for a minute. I'm just going to move. And one of the things I should mention on the Pinot Noir Rosé, you'll get some pink grapefruit. I forgot to mention that, but that's one of the more pronounced flavors in it, which I really love. Okay, so the KIN Pinot Noir. So Pinot Noir is a light red varieties or right type of wine. And Pinot Noir is really growing in popularity as more people are seeking out lighter reds to enjoy with well, this will go with anything from your Thanksgiving turkey, certainly, to charcuterie, to mushroom dishes. In France, it's one of the king of grapes is the Pinot Noir. So we do specialize it in Pinot Noir. This one, the grapes come from a very trusted grape grower, Ed Hughes, out of Niagara, who grows a number of grapes just for us, and he grows them to our specifications. And he's been Grape Grower of the Year in Niagara, so he really is a trusted partner. So we're really excited to be able to have wines that feature his grapes. So the Pinot Noir is, you know, as I say, it's going to have a light garnet color. It'll have a little higher acidity, which is great with foods like if you're having duck, which sometimes will have a bit of fat. The acidity will refresh your palate. So it's a natural pairing for duck. But you're going to get some lovely red cherry and cranberry flavors and on the nose as well as some more savory notes, some herbs. So it's going to have a little bit more complexity. It really is a beautifully made wine, and I'm pretty excited about it. We just switched actually to the 2020 vintage, which is absolutely fantastic. So if you've ever tried it before, I do encourage you to try the 2020. Okay, what else do we have? We have so many good things today. Oh, the other thing we are having is a relative of the Pinot Noir. It's the Gamete. So this is brand new as well. We've never made a Gamete wine before. Well, actually, sorry, I shouldn't say that. We haven't made one under the KIN labeling. So this is really a more premier version of the Gamete that we are now offering. And in fact, we're so proud of Ed Hughes. We've called it Hughes Vineyard. So we're designating that that's where these quality grapes come from. So it's been, when they make the wine, they make it the way they make Grand Cru Beaujolais. So Beaujolais is made from Gamete. So if you know what Beaujolais means, that is Gamete. And Gametes can really range from cheap and cheerful, super fruity, to more complex, more elegant, more Pinot Noir-like. And that's really where we're going with this one. It has more complexity because what we've done is, instead of crushing just the grapes, it was called whole cluster. So it's crushed with everything, the grapes and the stems. That adds a lot of nice herbal notes, even some forest floor flavors, and really just makes it a much more enjoyable experience. So this is a beautiful wine. And much like the Pinot Noir, it would be fantastic with charcuterie and duck. A lot of the same foods, they go very well, but this would also be great with pizza or, you know, a sandwich or something very casual. It's just really juicy and enjoyable. So Gamete is something that's really on the rise, and you're going to start seeing more Gamete, I think, on the shelves. So really exciting to have that and to have you try it. Okay, and then the last one I wanted to tell you a bit about is this Cabernet Franc. And this is also the first year we've made a Cabernet Franc, because while we do specialize in the reds on Pinot Noir, some of our customers said, you know, I really want a more full-bodied wine in your lineup. So we thought, you know what, that would be great. So Cabernet Franc is a grape that grows extremely well in Ontario. In fact, it grows better in Ontario than it does in its home of France. So in France, you don't see Cabernet Franc on its own very often. You see it blended into the Bordeaux blends that are very famous. But that's because over there, they don't always have the conditions for it to ripen fully. So sometimes it's not as wonderful, whereas we can get it to the full black, ripe cassis and blackberry flavors. This has spent some time on oak. So the Gamete spent time on fairly neutral oak, really just to give a little bit of more of the body and the aging. But this one has spent 18 months on oak. So you're going to get that full-bodied red wine experience. It's not heavy on tannins, so it's not as gritty is a word. It's not the perfect word, but a word that sometimes Cabernet Sauvignon is a big, big wine, and it has big tannins, which you really have to have something fatty with it to balance. Whereas this Cabernet Franc, the tannins aren't quite so heavy. So it's a little more food friendly. It's also friendly just to enjoy on your own in a glass when you really want a beautiful ripe red, especially as we go into the colder months. So that's a very speedy review of all these wines. But I don't know if you had any questions lined up, but I'm certainly happy to answer any, or try to.
Well, I know we have just a couple questions that'll be coming for you, but just to give you a little, I forgot to mention this thing. So we were digging around our cellar, and we happen to have the 2019 kindling here tonight.
Oh, that's fun.
And we also found a couple bottles of the 2018 KIN Chardonnay. So they're actually going to get the silver grit and the Chardonnay as well. And we also have a Bridge Pinot Noir 2018.
Oh, that's going to be good.
So even more when he thought we have more than that for everyone to try tonight. So
oh, that's exciting. And it is neat to try them one beside the other. And this is a perfect opportunity to try these wines.
That's exactly it. We rarely get to have them all at the same time. So this is fun for us. So you had a question, Lisa?
I have two questions. The first one, very simplistic, but KIN, where did that come from, the definition?
You know why?
I think it's a combination of the original owners, where there's new owners purchased about 3 years ago, but the original owners lived in Kinburn, which is nearby. So I think that got them thinking, but they really were thinking more about the fact that kin means family, friendship, being together, that enjoyment of others around you. So it seemed like such a perfect name for the vineyard. So that's really what it's all about, being together and sharing things like this with family and friends.
And my second question, so you mentioned EQA and where it's coming. So Niagara at the time, way back when, did not exist in the Prince Edward County, but are you hearing the rumblings of others planting grapes, or like, in your opinion, will there be more vineyards, more companies in your area?
That's a good question. What I've seen thus far is there's a number of people putting in vineyards or having vineyards, and they have focused on sorry, some days my brain goes, all the grapes that have been especially hybrided, there's the word I'm seeking, for the colder climates. A lot of work was done actually in Minnesota to create things like Marquette, Pinot Noir, Vidal, and so they grow well in our climate. And let's face it, it's not easy, and it's not without a cost to bury vines every year. So right now, we're really the only ones focusing on the classic grapes, the viniferous grapes. I don't know if that'll change or not. It might. I mean, there are certainly some more parcels. We're on a particularly lovely incline with lots of limestone in the soil. So, but I don't think that makes it unique. There's a lot of fantastic farming in the area. And I grew up actually Lake Erie North Shore, down south of Windsor, and all the farms around my family farm, many of them have now switched over to be vineyards. So I wouldn't be shocked to see some of that happening over time, especially if this area gets a VQA designation. I think that would really encourage people to say, oh, okay, it can be done, it can be done well. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see the change, but I see it just growing by leaps and bounds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
LCBO lineup. What wines are available at the store? Are there any that are going to be there soon and aren't quite there yet?
We don't put tons into the LCBO. I sometimes locally in Ottawa will have the sparkling and the unoaked Chardonnay, but Not a lot. I mean, it really isn't the best way for our consumers to get hold of our product, we find. And also it doesn't represent everything we have. So we are focusing a little more, to be honest, on making it available to places like Wander Food and Wine and restaurants. So we're placed in a lot of very high-end restaurants in the Ottawa area, and it's a great calling card for people to know about us and to seek us out.
Very cool. Anybody else? Okay, so I have a last question. What's next on their horizon? Is there any particular, you hear any rumors or rumblings that you can share about new varietals, new blends, anything that they're working on project-wise for the next year?
Oh, he's got all sorts of secret stuff, I gotta tell you. This year he came out with a Marquette made into a port-like wine, and that has turned out to be ridiculously good. So that was happening. What else? There are some other things he's working on, and now I'm trying to remember them all. I mean, certainly we want to see the Gamete. We had some bud damage on the Gamete we planted, so we're a little bit behind on being able to offer our own, but that's going to come. I think you're going to see that. I don't know that we have really the climate for the Cabernet Franc, so that may always have to be with a partner. And I think the Vidal, there's such good Vidal being grown in the Niagara area. Again, we're probably just going to continue that. But this year we also had a dry Gewürztraminer, which was neat and exciting. So I think he's going to play a little with some of these other varieties just to keep things interesting. But yeah, I don't have anything definitely in the tank other than I've tried the tank samples of the next two, actually, Carp Ridge Chardonnays and Pinot Noir. And honestly, they're very consistent now, but they are getting better and better, just that incrementally better and better. So it's very exciting actually at the winery to see what's coming out. So I'm excited to share where we're at right now, and hope that maybe next year we can come back with the next vintage and you could do another taste comparison.
Well, that's the whole idea. So yeah, so before we finish, I just want to connection. One of the things about love having wines from the Ottawa area here in Sudbury is that Sudbury has a lot of connections between family and friends. Students going to school, there's a lot of people in Ottawa who are from Sudbury and vice versa. So there's always people who are traveling back and forth. And I'm finding that more and more people, when I remind them that, hey, there's a winery there, there's more and more people who are actually planning to maybe stop and visit when they're going. So make sure telling everybody where you're located so that they can stop in maybe when they're visiting either friends or in the upcoming holiday season.
Well, that would be great. Yeah, we'll be active to the end of October for visitors, but after that it just gets a bit too cold because we're pretty much an outside space right now. So yeah, but we have a restaurant partner on site, so you can come out and have some pizza from the wood burning oven. And because the whole property is licensed, you can grab your glass of wine after dinner and just walk among the vines, which is beautiful. We also have yoga night in the vines and painting nights. We have all sorts of really fun things to animate the space and just let people enjoy the beauty of it, because it really is so beautiful.
Well, it's one of those things that I think that people will be surprised. I know that the first time that Norm went there, he came back and he was very excited. Sat on a picnic table out in the vines and he was a happy guy.
Yep. So. My husband experienced that same thing and he's like, what?